search warrant. Get on the ground.
I am unarmed. I am complying.
Don't you move. Don't you reach for anything.
My hands are visible. My family is upstairs. Do not flag the staircase.
You have the wrong house, Lieutenant. Check the address on your warrant.
I said shut up! Cuff him!
Notice the timestamps indicate this entire exchange from breach to handcuffs took exactly 14 seconds. In those 14 seconds, two distinct realities were formed. In Lieutenant Kowalski's reality, he had just taken down a hostile suspect in a high-risk drug raid. In the objective reality captured by the camera, he had just assaulted Commander Marcus Vance, a retired Navy SEAL, a current ordained pastor, and a man who could have killed everyone in the room with his bare hands but chose not to. Marcus Vance, 48, is a pillar of the community in the affluent suburb of Oak Haven Heights. A retired commander, 05, in the United States Navy, Vance spent 22 years in special warfare, completing deployments in theaters of operation that remain classified. Upon retirement, he utilized his military pension and a lucrative consulting contract with the Department of Defense to purchase a home valued at $1.8 million. He transitioned into theology, becoming the senior pastor of the First Grace Community Church. He has no criminal record. His credit score is 810. He was sleeping next to his wife, a pediatrician, when the door was breached. Lieutenant Gregory Breacher Kowalski, 39, is the team leader for the Metro SWAT unit. He has been on the force for 16 years. His personnel file contains 12 use of force complaints, 3 of which resulted in settlements paid by the city, though he was never personally disciplined. He earns a base salary of $92,000, supplemented by $35,000 in overtime pay. His social media history, subpoenaed later during discovery, reveals a pattern of reposting content related to the warrior cop mentality and complaints about affirmative action hires ruining the department. This brings us to a critical question regarding the execution of justice. The no-knock warrant is designed to prevent the destruction of evidence and protect officer safety. However, statistics show these raids predominantly occur in minority neighborhoods and frequently rely on unverified tips. Do you believe no-knock warrants are a necessary tool for modern policing, or do they create an inevitable recipe for constitutional violations? Interesting? Pause the video and leave your opinion in the comments below. I'll be reading through them. Oak Haven Heights is not the typical setting for a tactical raid. Established in the late 1950s, the neighborhood is characterized by wide, winding avenues lined with centennial oaks and properties set back at least 50 feet from the road. The architecture is a mix of colonial revival and mid-century modern estates. It is a sensory vacuum at night. The only sounds usually recorded are the hum of central air conditioning units and the occasional passing luxury sedan. The demographic shift in Oak Haven has been slow but steady. While historically 95% white, the last decade has seen an influx of affluent minority professionals, doctors, tech entrepreneurs, and high-ranking military retirees like Vance. This economic integration has not always been met with social acceptance. Neighborhood forums often feature threads about suspicious vehicles or loud music, coded language that frequently correlates with the presence of black residents. The specific residence in question, 412 Maple Drive, sits at the end of a cul-de-sac. The manicured lawn and motion sensor security lights suggest a homeowner who values order and safety. The air on the morning of the incident was cool, 58 degrees Fahrenheit, with a heavy dew settling on the grass. The silence of the cul-de-sac was broken at 05:45 a.m. by the heavy diesel idle of the Lenco Bearcat armored vehicle parking 2 houses down. Psychologically, the disparity between the two men involved in this collision is stark. Marcus Vance operates under a special operations mindset. His training dictates that chaos is manageable through observation and breath control. He feels safe in his home because he believes in the rule of law and knows he has done nothing to invite government intrusion. To Vance, the police are technically allies, fellow operators in the machinery of order. He does not fear the weapon. He respects the lethality of it. Lieutenant Kowalski operates under a hypervigilance mindset, conditioned by years of street-level narcotics work and an internal bias confirmed by his own echo chamber. He views every closed door as a potential ambush. He interprets the world through threat assessment filters that are often calibrated by racial profiling. Seeing a black man in a high-value property does not signal success to Kowalski. It signals illicit gain. The size of the house creates anxiety, not respect. He assumes the occupant is armed and dangerous because the warrant, based on a vague tip about a black male selling narcotics, confirms his pre-existing worldview. The escalation begins the moment the Bearcat doors open. The body cam footage from Officer Miller, the second in the stack, provides the clearest view of the approach. At 06:01 toward 15, the team moves across the lawn. They are moving in a tight formation, weapons drawn. The silence is absolute until they reach the porch. There is no knock. There is no announcement prior to the breach. "Breach left! Go! Go! Go!" Kowalski whispers, his voice tight with adrenaline. The battering ram swings, the door frame splinters. The time is 06:02:03. "Police! Search warrant!" The team floods the hallway. The footage shows a pristine interior family photos on the wall across above the entryway. At 06:02:08, Vance appears from the master bedroom. He is wearing plaid pajama bottoms and a gray t-shirt. He stops immediately. He does not run. He does not reach. "Hands! Show me your hands!" Kowalski screams, closing the distance of 20 feet in under 2 seconds. "My hands are up. I am not resisting," Vance replies. His volume is 60 decibels conversation level. "Or get on the ground. Do it now or I will light you up." Kowalski continues to shout, despite Vance already beginning the motion to kneel. The audio analysis reveals a discrepancy here. Kowalski's breathing rate is approximately 35 breaths per minute, word near panic hyperventilation. Vance's breathing is audible only because Miller's camera gets close. It is slow, rhythmic, in through the nose, out through the mouth. "I am complying," Vance says again. "Please be careful with the flashbangs. My daughters are in the East Wing." "Shut the up!" Kowalski strikes Vance with the muzzle of his rifle, a muzzle thump to the chest designed to off-balance a suspect. Vance rocks back, but absorbs the blow. He looks directly at Kowalski. "That was unnecessary, Lieutenant. I am unarmed." "You don't tell me what's necessary." Kowalski grabs Vance by the shoulder and spins him, forcing him face down. "Give me your other hand. Stop resisting." "I am not resisting. My arm is pinned under your knee," Vance says, his face pressed into the wood. "If you shift your weight, I can give you my arm." "Stop fighting me!" Kowalski yells, interpreting the physical limitation of the human joint as active resistance. He delivers 2 closed fist strikes to Vance's ribs. "Officer!" Vance says, his voice straining slightly under the weight. "You are making a mistake. The warrant is for 421 Maple. This is 412. I don't give a damn what number it is. You're in cuffs. Kowalski snaps the ratchets shut. At 06:03:45, Mrs. Vance appears at the top of the stairs. She is screaming, terrified. Marcus, what is happening? Don't shoot him. Ma'am, stay up there. Get back, Officer Miller shouts, aiming his weapon up the stairs. Honey, stay back, Vance calls out from the floor, and it's a mistake. Call the JAG office. Tell them code 4 Alpha. Do not come down. Code what? Who are you talking to? Durkee, Kowalski yanks Vance's head up by his hair. Who is in the house? My wife and 2 daughters, and God, Vance says. You need to de-escalate, Lieutenant. Your heart rate is compromising your judgment. You think you're smart? You think this is funny? Kowalski leans in. His face inches from Vance's ear. We found the stash house. We own you now. There is no stash, Vance replies calmly. There is a Bible on the nightstand and a service pistol in a biometric safe that I did not reach for. Check my back pocket. I'm not checking anything until the house is clear. Kowalski stands up, keeping a boot on Vance's lower back. Lieutenant, Officer Miller says, his voice hesitant. He is looking at a framed photograph on the hallway table. It shows Vance in full dress whites, shaking hands with the President of the United States. Lieutenant, look at the wall. Eyes on the suspect, Miller. Watch the stairs. Kowalski snaps, refusing to break his tunnel vision. Sir, seriously, Miller insists, stepping closer to the photo. That looks like a silver star. I don't care if it's a gold star from kindergarten, Kowalski spits. This guy fits the description. Large black male, drug trafficking profile. We got the tip. The tip was for a blue house, Vance says from the floor. My house is brick. Shut up! Kowalski kicks Vance in the thigh. This moment presents a profound legal and ethical dilemma. The officer is operating on a good faith belief that he is in a dangerous situation, yet every piece of objective evidence, the calm suspect, the house number, the environment, contradicts that belief. At what point does officer safety become a shield for gross negligence and bias? If a suspect is complying perfectly, does an officer have the right to use physical strikes to force a faster submission? Tell me where you draw the line in the comments. At 06:05:12, the adrenaline in the room begins to curdle into something else. The team has cleared the upstairs. There are no drugs. There are no piles of cash. There are only 2 terrified teenage girls in flannel pajamas and a wife who is on the phone with a federal attorney. Kowalski is panting, standing over Vance. The silence returns to the hallway, heavier than before. The house is clear, LT. A voice comes over the radio. Nothing illegal found. You might want to see the master bedroom. There's a shadow box on the wall. Lots of medals. Kowalski looks down at Vance. Vance turns his head to the side, making eye contact for the first time since the breach. Lieutenant, Vance says, his voice devoid of anger, which makes it infinitely more threatening. In my back pocket is a wallet. Inside is a Department of Defense common access card. It identifies me as Commander Marcus Vance, United States Navy retired. Beside it is the card for the city commissioner, who is a deacon at my church. Kowalski freezes. The camera captures a subtle shift in his posture. The aggressive forward lean evaporates. His shoulders drop. He looks at Officer Miller, who is standing by the photo of the president. Check it, Kowalski mumbles. Miller kneels and slides the wallet out of Vance's pocket. He opens it. He looks at the ID, then at Vance, then at Kowalski. It's him, Commander Vance. Miller's voice is barely a whisper. And Here's the commissioner's card. The warrant, Vance says. Yeah! Read the address on the warrant, Lieutenant. Kowalski pulls the folded paper from his tactical vest. His hands are shaking now, a tremor visible on the body cam. He unfolds it. He reads the text. His eyes dart to the front door, where the brass numbers 412 are clearly visible on the exterior footage, but were ignored in the rush. The warrant reads 421. It says 421, Kowalski says, the air leaving his lungs. Uncuff me, Vance commands. It is not a request. We have to follow protocol until the supervisor arrives, Kowalski stammers, retreating to policy to hide his error. The protocol ended when you committed a felony breaking and entering, Vance says. Uncuff me, now. Kowalski hesitates. He looks at his team. They are all looking at him. The warrior cop facade cracks. He realizes that the enemy he visualized, the dehumanized target, is a man with vastly more authority, discipline, and power than he will ever possess. Do it, Kowalski whispers to Miller. Miller unlocks the cuffs. Vance stands up. He rubs his wrists. He does not attack. He does not scream. He stands at attention, towering over Kowalski. Get out of my house, Vance says. Wait by your vehicle for the state police. I have already declared this a crime scene. Look, buddy, we got a tip. We were just doing our... Kowalski starts, trying to regain some footing. I am not your buddy. Vance cuts him off, stepping into Kowalski's personal space. And you weren't doing your job. You were hunting, and you chose the wrong prey. Get out. The legal aftermath was not instantaneous, but it was total. The initial internal investigation attempted to label the incident as a clerical error, a common tactic to shield officers from liability. The department claimed the house numbers were obscured. They were not, and that Vance had resisted detention. The video proved otherwise. However, Vance retained a high-profile civil rights firm, and due to his military background, the case garnered national media attention. The clerical error defense collapsed when discovery revealed that Kowalski had texted a fellow officer 3 days prior, referencing the fancy house with the thug inside that he was itching to toss. This text message proved that the raid was not a mistake of geography, but a targeted act of racial profiling masked as police work. The fallout was catastrophic for the city. Lieutenant Kowalski was fired 3 months later. More significantly, in a rare legal turn, the judge stripped him of qualified immunity, ruling that no reasonable officer would interpret a compliant man in pajamas as an immediate lethal threat requiring physical assault. Kowalski was charged with aggravated assault and official oppression. He accepted a plea deal, 2 years in prison, 5 years probation. The rest of the SWAT team was disbanded and required to reapply for their jobs with mandatory 100-hour retraining on bias and de-escalation. 3 members were permanently barred from tactical duty. The civil suit settled for $11 million. The settlement included a stipulation that the city must implement a mandatory double-blind verification system for all search warrants, preventing a single officer's bias from authorizing a raid. This settlement amount is staggering, but it raises a final point of contention. The taxpayers of the city are the ones footing the $11 million bill, not the police union, and not Kowalski personally. While Vance received justice, the financial burden falls on the community. Do you believe individual officers should carry personal liability insurance to pay for these settlements, or is this the price society pays for maintaining a police force? Let me know your solution in the comments. Today, Marcus Vance continues to preach at the First Grace Community Church. He used a portion of the settlement to build a veterans rehabilitation center in the inner city, specifically focusing on PTSD resources for minority veterans. He has never spoken to Kowalski again. Gregory Kowalski was released from prison 6 months ago. He's currently unemployed and legally barred from owning a firearm or working in private security. He lives with his sister in a neighboring county. The camera does not judge, it only records. In the case of Lieutenant Kowalski, it recorded the dangerous intersection of power and prejudice. It captured the moment when a badge was used not to protect, but to project dominance over a perceived other. But it also captured something else, the quiet, devastating power of dignity. Marcus Vance didn't need to fight back physically to win. He simply had to survive long enough for the truth to be seen. In the end, the battering ram and the flashbangs were no match for the calm, steady voice of a man who knew exactly who he was. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.